How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yud Tes, Daf 19 of Masechta Nedarim. Well, it's not entirely accurate. First of all, I hope that we already did 18. And yeah, the thing is we're doing Yud Ches Amud Beis. We gotta do half of Daf Yud Ches and Daf Yud Tes. So that's kind of what's on the agenda for today. Well, friends, this has to do with Stam Nedarim. Interesting sugi. What do you want me to tell you? Let's get started. We're going to start in Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis. We got a Mishnah which basically goes for a whole bunch of the Amud, which is why I just saved it for today, because that way we'll basically get to the next Mishnah. So I figured we'll just do the Mishnah and all the accompanying Gemara. We'll do it in one sitting, because I'm not standing anymore. Alright, let's go weiter. Okay. I'm like nervous to move. Like I kind of want to close my computer. Alright, let me close it. I hope I don't do anything wrong here. Okay, I hope I didn't now screw up all the audio. Please don't be screwed up, okay? Like I don't want to re-record you. Please don't be messed up. Please don't do it. Alright, we're going to start the Mishnah on Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis. So it's Stam Nedarim. You ready? Stam Nedarim lahachmir. Oh. Uferushim lahakol. Oh. So, okay, so if you have a stam neder, so we have to be, if we have like a suffix neder or whatever, like we're not sure, it can go this way, it can go that way. So we have to be stringent. Uferushim lahakol. But if you then, say, wait, but what I meant, if you clarify, if you have a clarification, okay, so we can go based on the clarification, even if it's more lenient. So, Ketzad, what are we talking about? Tell me. So if a fellow says that, pizza is going to be like salted meat, like libationary wine. Libatoritive? Okay. Imbishal shamayim noder. So if it's if it's gonna be so it says in parentheses shlomim, but they say shamayim. Basically, if it's a korban, well then aser, right? Because of course a neder as a korban is aser. Imbishal avodas kochav noder, but if it's referring to avodah zarah, so then mutter. So then it doesn't count as a neder, and then you can eat pizza. Vim stam aser. But if you didn't specify, speaking of pizza, maybe I should do that, but I haven't been getting pizza as much. They opened the Shalom Falafel in Shuk Machne Yehuda. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but Lamaisa, I've been going there. It's pretty good, Shalom Falafel. Yeah, there's other falafels there also. No, we're getting distracted. So, Vim Stam Osir. But if you just say that pizza is going to be like salted meat and libacious wine, so then, but stam, you didn't specify, so then we got to go stringent and say you can't eat pizza, buddy. If you say that pizza is like a cherim, if it's if you're basically donating land, if it's as if you donated land to the Beis HaMikdash, so then osir. But if you say that you're making it hektish for the Kohanim, so then mutter, that wouldn't be a vow. So then you can eat pizza. Ve'im stam, and if you didn't specify if it's cherim shel kohanim, if cherim shel shamayim, osir. So you can't eat the pizza. Like meiser, if you say that pizza is like meiser, im kemeiser behema nodar. So if we're talking about meiser behema that you have to set aside as a korban, so then osir. Ve'im shel gorin mutter. But if it's meiser that you give to the Levi, so then it's mutter, because that wouldn't be a proper neder. Ve'im stam osir. And if you didn't specify which one it is, so then you can't eat pizza. Like a trume, if you say that pizza is like trume, im ketrumas halishka nodar. So if he's talking about, when you set aside the machzas shekel for the Beis HaMikdash, so then also, so you can't eat pizza because that's a regular neder. But if we're talking about trume, like regular trume that you give to the kohen, mutter. So that wouldn't be a proper vow because it's osir, it's not nodar. Im stam osir, and if you don't specify what kind of truma it is, so then you can't eat the pizza. Divrei Meir, that's Rav Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, but Rabbi Yehuda actually says, Stam trume, so when it comes to regular old trume, Bi Yehuda asura, so in Judah, so it's asura, Begalil muteres, but in Galil, it would be mutter, right? Meaning in the Galilee, says Rabbi Yehuda, in the Galilee, if you say that pizza is going to be like truma and you don't specify what kind of truma, it's actually permitted she'enan shegalil makirin truma salishka, because the people in the Galilee aren't familiar with the concept of truma salishka. And truma salishka is what's basically like a neder, right? You take money and you donate it to the Beis Hamikdash. So if it's like truma salishka, so that would be a proper neder, but they're not aware of truma salishka. The only truma they know about is trumas kohanim, and trumas kohanim is osir, it's not nodr, and therefore it wouldn't actually be a neder, and therefore in the Galilee it would be mutter, because they would just assume that it's trumas kohanim, in which case it's not actually a neder. Fine. Stam chromin b'Yehuda mutter. So if you have a regular cherem and you don't specify what kind of cherem, so in Yehuda it is mutter. Begalil asurin, but in the Galilee it's asurin she'enan shegalil makirin cherem kohanim, because in the Galilee they're not familiar with the concept of cherem kohanim, of making something hektish for a kohen, and therefore all they know about is making something hektish for the Beis Hamikdash, in which case that would be a proper neder, and therefore it is osir. But in the Yehuda, where they know about cherem kohanim, so then it would be mutter. Fine. Friends, you ready for the Gemara? Okay. If you're ready, I'm ready. V'otnan patarapara. We have a Mishnah that says, Sofik Nizirus lahakol. What's the base? That would be nice if it's V'atanya. I don't know. Okay. V'otnan Sofik Nizirus lahakol. We have a Mishnah that says that if you're uncertain when it comes to a nazir, now a nazir, right, it's a neder nazir. A nazir is a vow. And we're saying that Sofik Nizirus, if you're unsure if the fellow is a nazir or not, lahakol, we're lenient. Our Mishnah had said, Stam Nedarim lahachmir, that if you're not sure about a neder, we go stringent. We go hard on you. And over here we're saying lahakol, we go easy on you. Do we go hard or do we go easy? Who's going to tell me? Reb Zer says, Reb Zer lokasha. Oh. So Reb Zer, don't worry. Har Reb Elazar, har Rabbanan. Says Rabbi Eliezer, but apparently he's supposed to change it to Reb Elazar, so I'll do that. Har Reb Elazar, har Rabbanan. So our Mishnah is the rabbis, but the Mishnah from Tyrus, where it says Sofik Nizirus lahakol, that is Reb Elazar. That's Reb Elazar. That's Reb Elazar. The Tanya is we learn in the Brayso, Makdish chayasu ve'emto. Okay. If a fellow says, okay, I'm being makdish all of my chayas, or I'm being makdish all of my behemoths, so where does a koi fit into things? A koi is a suffix chaya, suffix behemoth. So hikdish is a koi. So according to Tanna Kama, he says, look, a koi is a suffix. We're not sure if it's a chaya or behemoth. And therefore, if you're makdish all of your behemoths, or you're makdish all of your chayas, so you have to include oichit, the koi, because it's a suffix, and we have to go l'chumr. Rabbi Elazar almost says, Rabbi Elazar lo hikdish es koi. That no, the koi is not included. Because, meaning, so according to Tanna Kama, you have to be machmir, right? So suffix, there's a suffix, you have to be machmir. According to Rabbi Elazar, though, you could be lenient, right? Lo hikdish es koi. If he's makdish all of his behemoths or all of his chayas, it does not include the koi, because we can be lenient. So therefore, the Mishnah in Tyrus, which says Sofik Nizirus lahakol, is Rabbi Elazar. Our Mishnah is the Tanna Kama, and that is why we're stringent. Okay, fine. Mandamar mamono me'ayil lisfeka. So, according to the Tanna Kama, who says that his mammon, right, his animals, that he's going to have intention also for the suffix, such as the koi. So gufeinami ma'ayil. So also when it comes to himself, if it's a suffix of by a nazir, so then also it would be would be stringent, and he would be a nazir. And Rabbi Elazar, who says that he does not when he's makdish his behemoths or makdish his chayas, he does not have intention also for the koi. So then so gufe kolshken dilomayil lisfeket, and certainly his body, his person, his self, he's not going to make into a nazir out of suffix, and therefore Rabbi Elazar would say Sofik Nizirus lahakol, that we're lenient by Sofik Niziruses. Are people making noise outside? Possibly. Okay. Fine, Koshin lo my let's figure. Omale Abaye, so Abaye says to Reb Zeire, b'mayu kimta l'sofik nizirus lahakol kiribelazur. So it says Abaye to Reb Zeire, no. So Reb Zeire, you're teaching that sofik nizirus lahakol is Reb Elazar, and that Mishnah in Tyrus where it says sofik nizirus lahakol is Reb Elazar. But Ema Seifa, if we go weiter in that Mishnah, what does it say? Sofik Bechoris. When it comes to a suffix, when it comes to a bechor, a firstborn. So if you have, there's a yingul and a maidel, right? There's a firstborn, as we say, echad bechor adam, echad bechor behema. Whether it's an animal, whether it's a human, right? We're not sure. A boy and a girl were born. We're not sure. Did the boy come first? The girl come first? So it's a suffix. Now, of course, we know that a firstborn belongs to the kohen, and you have to redeem the firstborn from the kohen. So, bein tameya, bein tahora, whether when it comes to an animal, we're talking about a tahor animal, a tamei animal, hamotzi michavero, all of harai. So if the kohen now wants to show up at your house and say, okay, give me the bechor, because I'm a kohen and I get the bechors, so, well, he'd have to prove that the boy was born first. V'tani Allah, and we taught, Basum begizav avoda, but nonetheless, you wouldn't be able to work with these animals. You wouldn't be able to work the animal. You wouldn't be able to get its, shear its wool and things like that. So we see that even though it's a suffix, we seem to be stringent. So I don't understand. So we have this Mishnah where it says stam nazirus lahakol, and we're saying that that's Reb Elazar. But if we go weiter in the Mishnah, it seems that when it comes to the suffix by the Bechor, we seem to be stringent. If it's Reb Elazar, shouldn't we be lenient there as well? So, Omar Lei, so Reb Zeir responds to Abaye, Amai ka medamis kedusha abba me'elel kedusha abba bidei adam. You can't compare the two cases. You can't compare the Bechor and the Nazirus, because the Bechor is kedusha that comes on its own, right? When the animal or the person is born, they were born as a bechor, so from the time that they're born, there's kedusha. Whereas the kedusha abba bidei adam, by nazir, that's something, right? That's man-made kedusha, right? He decides that he's going to be a nazir, and from that point, he makes himself into a nazir, and that's a different story. We can be lenient by him, even if we're strict by bechor. Elo ikasha hakasha. Okay, but if you want to slug up Reb Elazar, slug him up in the following manner. Now, I'll be honest, I don't quite understand this question. I think it's not super pashut, but let's jump into it anyways. Sofik mashkin litame tome litame acherim tor divremer. This isn't the hard part. The hard part is understanding what the kasha is. So when it comes to mashkin, right, mashkin so we're saying, right, so sofik mashkin litame tome. So if you're when it comes to mashkin, so they can become tameh, but they cannot be metame other things, midoraisa. So now, so mashkin, if you're not sure if they became tameh, so litame, to determine if they themselves become tameh in a suffix, tameh, we have to treat them as tameh. Litame acherim, but for mashkin to be metame other things, tahor. If it's a suffix, right? So if you have some mashkin, you have some liquid, and it's a suffix if it's tameh or not. So we have to treat the mashkin themselves as if they're tameh, but they are going to be unable to impart tuma in other things, because that's only midrabanan, and from the suffix we won't say that they're metame other things. Fine. That's Reb Meir's opinion. And Reb Elazar Taka agrees with Reb Meir. Okay, that when it comes to mashkin, suffix tuma by mashkin, so the mashkin will be tameh, but they will not be able to be mitame other things. Umisvir that the Reb Elazar litame tame. But does Reb Elazar really hold like Reb Meir? Does Reb Elazar really hold that when you have suffix mashkin, right, suffix tuma by mashkin, that the mashkin become tameh? But we learn in the Brayso, Reb Elazar Omer says Reb Elazar, ein tuma lemashkin kol ikar. Mashkin do not become tameh whatsoever. Mashkin do not become tameh whatsoever. Now the reason to say that suffix tuma by mashkin, the mashkin themselves are tameh, is if you say that mashkin becomes tameh midoraisa. That if you say that mashkin is able to contract tuma midoraisa, so then if there's a suffix, so we have to be stringent. But here we have Reb Elazar saying, ein tuma lemashkin kol ikar, that mashkin do not become tameh at all. Teda, and you should know, Sharei Heyed Yossi ben Yuezer Ish Tzreda, that Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreda, one of the Zugis, he testified, I'll kamsa dachon, that a grasshopper is pure and kosher, and that the mashkin in the butchery in the temple, dachon, that is oichet tahor. And therefore, how could Yosef ben Yoezer say that the mashkin, which I think is the blood in the Beis Hamikdash, it does not contract tumah? How could Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreda say that? Meaning, okay, if we say that Rabbi Elazar holds like Reb Meir, that Safek Tumah by Mashkin, the Mashkin is Tameh, and that's because Mashkin is able to contract Tumah Midoraisa, and therefore Safek Tumah is Tameh. But if that's the case, then how could Rabbi Elazar say that Ein Tumah Mashkin Kol Iker, that there's no Tumah for Mashkin at all? And then he brings a proof from Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreda that the Mashkin made based Mat B'chaya was tahor, which means that clearly mashkin is not contracting tumah midoraisa. Because if it was, how could Rabbi Elazar and Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreda say that it doesn't contract tumah in the Beis Hamikdash? If it's midoraisa, it's midoraisa. You can't just do that. So anicha l'Shmuel da'amar dachim miltam echer. Well, you can explain according to Shmuel, who says that when Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreda says that mashkin based mat b'chaya is unable to become tamei, means it's unable to be mitame other things. But they themselves could become tamei shapir. Okay, so I understand. So basically, Rabbi Elazar would agree that mashkin is able to become tamei, but it just wouldn't be mitame other things midoraisa. And if it's a safek tumah by mashkin, they would not be mitame other things. Okay, beseder. And L'Rab, according to Rab, the Amar Dachan Mamish, Rav says that Rabbi Elazar is saying that, or that Rabbi Yosef ben Yoezer is saying that it's mamish tahor. It doesn't contract tumah whatsoever. And we're saying that Rabbi Elazar is holding like Yosef ben Yoezer is Tzreda, which means that Rabbi Elazar holds that tumah, that mashkin is not metami tumah midoraisa. So then I don't understand, how does Rabbi Elazar hold like Reb Meir that? So okay, there's that. How does Rabbi Elazar hold like Reb Meir that that mashkin becomes tamei misafek? I thought mashkin doesn't become tamei at all. And then I think the kasha is like, so I don't really understand the kasha. I think the kasha is like, so clearly we just like don't understand Rabbi Elazar's opinion, what it actually is, and therefore we can't definitively say that when we say that safek nazirus lahakol, we can't say that it's Rabbi Elazar because, like, I don't know, like Rabbi Elazar's opinion seems to just be like unclear what he says in the situation of a safek. Like, are we stringent like Reb Meir says, or are we not stringent? So I think we just kind of like throw out his opinion or something. So Ella Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon. So we give an alternative answer and we say no. When we say safek nazirus lahakol, that is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. And when our Mishnah says stam nedarim lahachmir, that is Reb Shimon's opinion. The Tanya is we learn in the Brayso Arini Nazir im yesh bichri hazeh mea kor, that if a fellow says that I am going to be a Nazirite if in a certain pile there is 100 cores worth of stuff, and then they went to check, right? So the guy says I'm going to be a Nazirite if in that pile there's 100 cores of stuff, and then they say okay, well let's see, and they go to check how many cores are there, umatzu shenigna, and they found that the pile's gone. Or it got lost. So now what does he do? He's in limbo. He's safek nazirus. Rabbi Yehuda matir, Rabbi Shimon osir. Rabbi Yehuda says, okay, well he's not going to be a nazir, and Rabbi Shimon says, you bet he's going to be a nazir, and he's we have to treat him as a nazir, and he's osir. So therefore we see that in the situation of safek nazirus, Rabbi Yehuda is being lenient. So therefore safek nazirus lahakol must be Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Shimon is being stringent. So it must be that our Mishnah which says that stam nedarim lahachmir must be Rabbi Shimon. So now, Frekti Gemara, you ready for the Gemara's kasha? V'rami Rabbi Yehuda ad Rabbi Yehuda. But we have a kasha. Does Rabbi Yehuda really say, Mi Rabbi Yehuda l'ma'ayil inish nafshe l'sveika? Does Rabbi Yehuda really hold that a fellow doesn't put himself into a suffix situation? Right over here, right? We had, he said, I'll be a nazir if there's in this pile a certain amount of grain, and then it got lost, whatever. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no, he's not a nazir because he didn't intend that he would also be a nazir in a suffix situation like this. So, but Umi Rabbi Yehuda, does Rabbi Yehuda really say Lo ma'ayil inish nafshe l'sveika, that a fellow doesn't put himself into a situation of safek v'ramini? But we have a kasha. Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda stam truma b'Yehuda asur. So Rabbi Yehuda says in our Mishnah that in Judah If a fellow says that pizza is going to be like truma, asura, because we have to, he didn't specify what kind of truma, so we have to assume that maybe he's saying truma salishka, and truma salishka would be a proper neder, and therefore the pizza is asura. Uvigalul muteris, but in the Galilee it's permitted. She'ein anshe agalul makirin as truma salishka, because the people in the Galilee, they don't recognize. They're not familiar with the truma salishka, therefore the only truma they know is truma that goes to Kohanim, which is osur, and therefore it wouldn't be a proper neder, and therefore you can eat pizza. Taimedain makirin, the only reason why in the Galilee they can eat pizza is because they're not familiar with truma salishka. The only thing they know is regular truma, which was not shaykh to neder, therefore you can continue eating the pizza. Ha makirin asurin. But if they would be familiar with truma salishka, which is, you donate it to a temple and therefore it's a proper neder and you wouldn't be able to eat the pizza. So therefore, if they're aware of truma salishka, well then, if he just says that pizza is like truma and we're not sure is it truma salishka, is it trumas kohanim, so then Rabbi Yehuda would admit in that case that it would be also, right? Only in the Galilee it's permitted because they don't know about truma salishka, but if they did know about truma salishka, then we wouldn't be sure, and then it would be also. So we see that Rabbi Yehuda says even in a situation of suffix, we do go stringently. So Omar Rave says Rave, Gabe Kri Kasovar. Look, when it comes to the pile, when the fellow says that I'll be a Nazir if there's a certain amount of stuff in that pile, and then the pile gets lost, so then we say he's not a Nazirite. That's right. So Rabbi Yehuda says he would not be a Nazir. How come? Because Kol Shesveiko Chomer Mivadai. In a situation where the uncertain situation would be more stringent than the certain situation, Loma al nafshe l'sveika. A fellow does not put himself in the situation of suffix. Let's go weiter. The ilu gabe nazir. When it comes to a Nazirite, vadai. The ilu gabe nazir vadai. When it comes to a definite nazir, migalecho mevi korban v'necho. Well, at the end of his nazirus, he shaves, brings korbanos. He can, and then he could, and he can eat the korbanos. V'asveiko lo matzi migalech. When it comes to a suffix, he can't. So meaning, so if you have a fellow who's a suffix nazir, well, then his nazirus essentially never ends, right? Okay, a vadai nazir, right? A fellow says, I'm going to be a nazir, so he's a nazir for the default is 30 days. After 30 days, it's over. Brings korbanos, shaves, whatever. It's over. But a fellow who's a suffix nazir, it's actually more stringent, because if he's a suffix nazir, then what does he do at the end of the 30 days? He can't necessarily bring the korbanos because he's not actually sure if he's supposed to bring the korbanos. It might just be chulin. If he's not actually a nazir, then it might just be chulin. You can't bring chulin to the azara. So therefore he's basically stuck. So being a suffix is actually more stringent than being a vadai. Right? Being a Nazirite in limbo is more stringent than being an actual Nazirite. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda would say, in that case, he doesn't have intention to be a Nazirite. In a situation where the suffix, the doubtful situation, the unclear, the uncertain situation would be more stringent than the certain situation, a fellow does not have intention to put himself into that situation. So again, from the beginning, Amar Rava says, Rava, Gabe Kri, when it comes to the pile upon which it's dependent if he's going to be a Nazir, Kasover, Rabbi Yehuda holds, Kol Shesveiko Chomer Mivadai, if the uncertainty around if this fellow is a Nazir or not, right? By putting himself into an uncertain situation around his being a Nazir, it's more stringent mivade than if he was certainly a Nazir. Lo ma'ayil nafshe l'sveika, he would not put himself in a situation where he would be a suffix. He would not have intention to be a suffix, right? That wouldn't have been his intention that he would end up in a suffix situation. And rather, when it turns out that the pile is lost or whatever, so then his intention just falls away, and he goes back to just being a regular old Jew. The ilu gabi nazir vada, when it comes to a certain nazir, a nazir who knows for sure that he's a nazir, so at the end of his nazirus, migaleach, he shaves, maybe korban v'nechel, he brings korbanos, he eats them, v'al but if he's uncertain if he's a nazir, so then lo matzi migaleach, he can't shave, and he can't bring mostly because he can't bring korbanos, so he's basically in limbo. So therefore, according to Yehuda, he doesn't have intent for that suffix situation. Amar Rafuna bar Yehuda l'Rav, Rafuna bar Yehuda asakashan Rava. Amar hareini nazir olamai. What if he wasn't just? What if he upped the ante and he didn't say, based on the amount of stuff in this pile, I'm going to be a regular nazir. He says, I'm going to be a nazir forever. Ha ha ha. So in that case, it would sound like being a Safek Nazir actually won't be more stringent than being a Vadai Nazir, because in both cases you're going to have to be a Nazir forever. If you're uncertain if you're a Nazir, so you're going to be a Nazir forever because you can't actually bring Korbanos and shave. And if you are definitely a Nazir forever, well, you're just a Nazir forever anyways. So Amalei Nazir Olam Nami, but says Rava to Rav Huna Bar Yehuda that no, also when it comes to a Nazir that's still a Nazir Olam is more lenient than a Safek Nazir. Nami Sveiko Chomer Mivadai, the Safek is more stringent than a Vadai Nazir Olam. The Ilu Vadai Ich B'tzar Mekel B'sar, because if he's certainly a Nazir Olam, so if his hair just becomes too much, he can cut it. Umevi Shalosh Behemis, and he brings the 3 korbanos that he would normally bring at the end of his Nazirs. He's still a Nazir, but if his hair just becomes too much, he can cut it and bring some korbanos, and then he goes on being a Nazir. V'ilu Sveiko Lo Amar, V'ilu Sveiko Lo. But a Safek Nazir wouldn't be able to do that. By a Safek Nazir, if his hair becomes too much to deal with, he doesn't have a choice, he's got to keep it. So, we see that even a Nazir forever is more lenient than a Safek Nazir, in that he can cut his hair if he needs to. Amar Areni Nazir Shimshin Mai. But what if the fellow were to say that based on how much stuff is in that pile, I'll be a Nazir like Samson. And in that case, he's not even able to cut his hair if it becomes too much. So then, what's the difference between a Safek Nazir and a Samsonite Nazir guy? So Amalei Nazir Shimshin Lo Tanya. So Rava says, yeah, we're not talking about a Nazir Shimshin in that price. So Amalei Amar Ravada Bar Hava Tanya Nazir Shimshin. But Rav Huna Bar Yehuda responds to Rav, and he says, but didn't Ravada Bar Hava say that actually the Brisa is talking about Nazir Shimshin? Omar Le Itanya Tanya. To which Rava says, oh, well, if there's a Brisa that says that it's also talking about Nazir Shimshin, right? If there's a Brisa that says it's talking about Nazir Shimshin, I can't argue on the Brisa. In which case, yeah, I guess my rationale then falls apart, and I can't say that Safek Nazir will always be more stringent than a Vadei Nazir, because it won't be more stringent than a Vadei Nazir Shimshin. Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, Hahi Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Reb Tarfini. Oh, so says Rav Ashi that when Rabbi Yehuda says in that Brisa, I think so, in that Brisa that based on the amount of stuff in the pile, he'll maybe be a Nazirite, and then the thing is stolen, and Rabbi Yehuda says, okay, so he's not a Nazir. That's Dafka Rabbi Yehuda, according to from Reb Tarfin. The Tana is within the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Reb Tarfin. Omer says from Reb Tarfin. In Echad Meim Nazir, the Fishlonin and Naziris El Afloya. In a situation where you have 2 fellows, and one fellow says to the other, I'm going to be a Nazir if that person is so and so, and the other fellow says, I'm not going to be a Nazir if that fellow is so-and-so or something like that. And then the guy, so one of them is going to be a Nazir and one of them, no, I guess, what was it? Whatever it is, they basically say that they're going to be a Nazir. I think maybe one of them says, I'll be a Nazir if that fellow is so-and-so, and the other guy says, I'll be a Nazir if it isn't so-and-so. So the guy either is so-and-so or he isn't so-and-so, so one of these guys is either a Nazir or not. One of them is going to be a Nazir, and still we say that Rabbi Yehuda from Reb Tarfin says that neither one of them is a Nazir, because right, Shelo Nitna Naziris Ela Afloya, that Naziris has to be crystal clear. Right? There's no, if he's, if this is so-and-so, if it's not so, if that, there's no ifs over here. When you're going to be a Nazir, you say, I'm going to be a Nazirite, and that's that. But you don't say, I'm going to be a Nazirite based on some condition. And therefore, when Rabbi Yehuda says that based on the amount of stuff in this pile, I'll be a Nazir, and we say that, and then the thing gets lost, and then we say that it doesn't, he's not going to be a Nazir. That's Rabbi Yehuda, and the name from Reb Tarfin, who says that you have to be very clear. You can't just say based on some amount of stuff in a pile. No, you have to. If you're being a Nazir, you have to be clear that you're being a Nazir. If that's the case, then you have to be clear. My area sheganav, shenignav, o she'avad. Well, if it's all about being crystal clear, then who cares that the pile got lost? Even if the pile was still there, he didn't say I'm going to be a Nazir. He said I'm going to be a Nazir if there's a certain amount in that pile. That's not hafla. That's not being super clear. But it's coming to teach you the extremity of Reb Shimon's opinion, that even though the pile got stolen or lost, nonetheless, still, even though the thing got lost, still Reb Shimon would say that he would have intention to be a Nazir, even though it's going to be a Safek Nazirus in that case, and we have to be stringent. Alright, what do you want me to tell you? Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Stam Trume bi Yehuda v'chulei. So in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda had said that Stam Trume in Yehuda, right? So in Judah, if you just say, pizza is going to be like Trumas, so we don't know, is it Trumas Alishka, is it Trumas Kohanim? So we say that it's Asur. Hamakirin Asurin. But in the Galilee, right? So we say in the Galilee, it's permitted because they don't know about Trumas Alishka, they only know about Trumas Kohanim, which would not be a proper neder, and therefore pizza is okay. But if they knew about Trumas Halishka, so if they knew about Trumas Halishka, which would be a proper neder, and now we're not sure if it's Trumas Halishka, if he had in mind Trumas Halishka or Trumas Kohanim, so then it would be Asurin. Amos Feika L'chumra. So we see in our Mishnah that we're treating the suffix stringently. But Ema Seifa, but then what does it say after that? Stam Charom bi Yehuda Mutarin, that in Judah, if you just say that pizza is going to be like a cherem, so it's permitted because you may have had intention for the cherem that goes to a kohen. Uve Galil, but in the Gali Asurin, the pizza wouldn't be allowed in this case. Because the people in the Gali are unaware about being maktir something for a kohen, and they only know about being maktir something for the Beis HaMikdash, which would be asur. So therefore, it is asurin. Aha. Makirin mutarin, but if they knew about being making something chayrim to the Beis HaMikdash, so then pizza would be permitted. Then pizza would be permitted, right? Meaning in the situation where they only wait. What? No. What did I just say? In the Galilee, where all they know about is being maktir something to the making something chayim to the Beis HaMikdash, so then it's asur in the Galilee because that's a proper neder. But if they were to know that there's actually another type of chayim, which say you can be maktir something for a kohen, right, and then it would not be a proper neder, so then in that case it would be mutter. So amos feika l'kulem. So we see over there by chayim that when we're not sure, is it a cherem of the Beis HaMikdash, which would be asur, or cherem of the Kohanim, which would be mutter. So we're going leniently and saying in the Galilee, in Judah, right? We say that in Judah it is permitted because they know about the cherem Kohanim, but in the Galilee it's forbidden because they don't know about the cherem Kohanim. But if they did know about the cherem Kohanim, then we would be lenient. So why in the Reish are we being right the suffix lechumra, and in the Sefer we're saying suffix lekula? So Rabbi says Sefer Beloz Reb Tzadok, that the Sefer is actually Reb Elazar Reb Tzadok. The Tanya is learned in a Brayso. Reb Yehuda Omer says Reb Yehuda Stam Truma bi Yehuda Asura, that Stam Truma in Judah is Asura because it might be Trumas Halishka. Reb Elazar Reb Tzadok Omer says Reb Elazar Reb Tzadok Stam Chorim b'Galil Asir, that Stam Cherims in the Galilee are Asurin because all they know about is Chermei Mikdash, right? Being maktir something is making cherem to the Beis Mikdash, but if they knew about cherems that go to the Kohanim, then it would be mutter. Alright, friends, that was Daf Yud Ches of Masechet Nedarim. So we did actually basically a daf and a half today. We talked about Stam Nedarim and how we go stringently. We then asked a kasha, but what about the fact that we say that Stam Nazirus Lahakol? So we're trying to figure out. First, we tried to say that that's Reb Elazar, and then we want to say that it's Davke Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, and then we saw Rav Ashi's opinion says Davka Rabbi Yehuda, right? So Davke, right? So we could say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, or I think we could say it's either Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Shimon. I think, and then right, but by the Nazir is Davka, but by the pile, the suffix in the pile is Davka Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Tarfin, who says that by Nazirus you have to be very, very explicit. Alright friends, that was Daf Yud Tes of Masechet Nedarim. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.